guide them through one of the biggest financial and emotional decisions that they'll ever make. That is an incredible responsibility. That's what I get excited about every morning. Over the years, I've realized that none of us are actually defined by the product or the services that we provide, but we're defined by the way we serve people. Yep, our businesses are different. Some of us work for Edward Jones and we help build wealth. Some of us protect what matters most. Some of us help people buy and sell your home, and others help our businesses grow. But at the heart of every one of our businesses is the same opportunity, just to make someone's life just a little bit better. People often ask me what separates one mortgage lender from another. And honestly, I don't think it's what most people expect. It isn't the interest rate, it isn't the technology, it isn't even the loan programs that we offer. I mean, those things do matter, but they aren't what people remember. What people remember is how you show up when things don't go according to plan. Here's what I've learned. No one calls me on the happiest, easiest day of their life. They call me when they're making one of the biggest financial decisions they'll ever make. Sometimes they're excited, they're ecstatic, we're buying a house, woohoo! Sometimes, oftentimes, they're overwhelmed. And sometimes they're just downright terrified. And in those moments, they aren't looking for just a mortgage lender. They're looking for somebody that they can trust. Someone they know is going to stand with them, even if things get difficult. That is where relationships matter the most. So I got a phone call one afternoon around 3 o'clock from a real estate investor. He was in an absolute panic. He owned 9 different investment properties, all mortgaged under one blanket loan that had a balloon payment that was coming due. He was working with another lender to try to refinance it, and there had been delays after delays after delays. And each time he was assured everything was going to be just fine, until it wasn't. Earlier in the afternoon, the deadline to pay off this blanket loan had passed, and the payoff never happened. His loan was now officially in default. Imagine that feeling. Overnight, nearly $2.5 million in real estate fallen into default. Not because he had stopped making his payments. In fact, he had never missed a payment. He just had simply trusted the wrong people. As he shared his story with me, one thought just kind of kept running through my mind. Yep, this is about 9 investment properties for this guy. There's also 9 families, 9 homes, 9 tenants whose lives were about to be turned upside down if we don't figure out something. He was convinced that there was nothing left to do. I think his only phone call to me was just to confirm it. He had talked to other lenders, they had backed away saying, no, now it's way too complicated. But one of the things that I've learned over the years is that the most important question is just the one no one has asked yet. So instead of telling him no, we just talked. He talked, I asked questions, we dug deep into his business, we looked past his tax returns, we brought in the right people, and piece by piece, we were able to find a path forward. Eventually, we were able to refinance those properties, and we saved every one of them. Looking back, I don't think we just saved 9 investment properties for this guy. We helped save one man's life's work, and 9 families got to stay in their homes. They had no idea what could have been. So that investor kind of taught me something that I will never forget. People often think our value is measured by our expertise, by how much we know. But I think it's more than that. I think our true value is measured by how willing we are to stay with someone when the path isn't obvious. Sometimes that means solving an incredibly complicated financial problem. And sometimes it means doing something much, much simpler. It means just slowing down, taking a beat, listening, being present. Because while every client's situation is different, every client wants to know the same thing. Am I in this alone? Let me tell you about a woman that reminded me of that every time I walked through her front door. Her name is Audrey. Audrey was an elderly woman who had lived in the same home for, 40 years. She didn't drive. She didn't email. She didn't text. She only answered your call if she already knew that you were going to call her. So if you missed a call, well, you probably were not going to hear back from her on that day. So you can imagine getting paperwork from Audrey, impossible. Like pulling your hair out, impossible. So at first I was just in my office thinking, well, maybe this time she'll answer the phone. Or maybe if I just shoot her a text, she'll have her phone with her and then she'll respond. So that really wasn't happening. So I realized that the answer was not by sitting in my office. I just needed to get in my car and drive to her house, which I did again and again. We gathered documents, we signed electronic disclosures, we even completed paperwork for her financial planner. But that is not what I remember. What I remember is Audrey's kitchen table. I'd sit down beside her, and before we ever touched a document, we just talked. We talked about leaving this home that she'd lived in for 40 years of memories. We talked about her fear of starting over someplace else, the mountain of books, the mountain of boxes, the movers, the decisions, the paperwork, the uncertainty. And as I was sitting talking to her, I realized she didn't need a mortgage lender. She needed somebody willing to slow down long enough and just listen. Someone who understood this wasn't just another transaction, it was one of the biggest life transitions she would experience. And what makes this story even more meaningful is the realtor who referred Audrey to me is someone that many of you know. And if you know her, you love her. And it was Barbara Zinsser.
Woo! Go Barbara!
Barbara wasn't just simply selling a home to Audrey or listing her home. She was packing books. She was gathering the boxes. She was buying the packing tape. She coordinated the movers, and she called them muscles, those guys that were going to pack the boxes. She coordinated the contractors who were going to build the new bookcases in the new home and to house the very thing that was most important to her books. She was doing whatever needed to be done to help Audrey through one of the biggest transitions of her life. Barbara and I never talked about the commission that we would make. Never talked about the referral. We barely talked about the transaction. Instead, every time we talked, the conversation came back to just one simple question. What does Audrey need today? Some days she needed boxes. Some days she needed help signing the paperwork. Some days she just needed someone to explain what's the next step. And some days she just simply needed somebody to sit at her kitchen table and listen. Because sometimes the greatest gift that we can give someone isn't our expertise or our knowledge. It's just helping them realize that they don't have to go through it alone. At the closing table, Audrey looked at both of us on more than one occasion and said, I couldn't have done this without the two of you. Think about that. She didn't thank me for the interest rate that I got her. She didn't thank me for the mortgage. She didn't talk about the house. What she remembered was how we made her feel safe, supported, understood. And that moment changed me because I realized, people don't remember what you did. They remember how you made them feel while you were doing it. Barbara and I just kept asking, what does Audrey need today? And somewhere along the line, I realized that's really the question that all of us should be asking. Not just about Audrey, but about every client, every referral partner, every employee, every friend, every member of our family. What does this person need from me today? And I think that is exactly what Caerusnet is supposed to be. We are not a room full of people exchanging business cards and referrals. We're a room full of professionals who know one another well enough to say, I trust you with the people that I care about most. Barbara didn't refer Audrey to me because I can originate alone. She referred her to me because she trusted me to care for another human being. That's a completely different kind of a referral. I believe it's one of the highest compliments one professional can give to another. As technology continues to change every industry, AI will answer questions. Websites will compare prices. Software will automate our tasks. And that will absolutely make us more efficient. But what they'll never do is replace what happens when one person sits across the table from another and just listens. They'll never replace empathy. It'll never replace trust. It'll never replace just showing up. So I'd like to leave you with one question this morning. When someone in this room has a client that they deeply care about, would they trust you enough to hand that client to you without hesitation? Not because you're the least expensive, not because you're the fastest, but because they know you'll care for that person as if they were your own family. Because that's the reputation worth building. That's the relationship worth earning. I believe that that's why we all choose to be part of Caerusnet. Not just to grow our businesses, but to surround ourselves with people that we trust. People who will care for our clients the same way we would. People who simply just make us better because we're around them. And I hope that all of us leave here today asking one simple question about every client, every friend, every referral partner, really anyone that we come across. What does this person need from me today? I believe if we keep asking that questions, relationships are going to grow. The referrals will come, and our businesses will grow. But more importantly, we will spend our careers making a difference in people's lives. I'm not sure there's anything more meaningful than that. So, Steve, thank you again for bringing a room full of people who are committed to making that kind of a difference together for us. Thank you. I hope